Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Great. Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming to this session where we just do an overview of the IGF, the newcomer session. My name is Chengetai Masango, and I am head of the Secretariat of the Internet Governance Forum. And we are in part responsible for this. Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce.
Good morning. I'm Carol Roach, the 2024 MAG Chair, and welcome. And I hope you gain a lot of knowledge, share a lot of knowledge, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I usually don't like lecturing, and I usually like seeing what the audience has to say. So my first question to the audience is, of course, how many of you, this is your first IGF? Okay, thank you. That's good. How many of you have not even attended a regional IGF or a national IGF? Okay, great. So, would somebody, those of you who did not raise their hand up, volunteer on what is the IGF and how did it start? Anybody? Thank you. Okay, we have a mic there.
Hello. Okay. My name is Omar Ansari. I'm working with the APNIC Foundation based in Brisbane. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I attended the WISES first WISES in 2003 when I was young. I was part of a youth caucus there. That's how I got introduced to the whole process. The second phase was in 2005 in Tunis, where it was decided that there should be an annual Internet Governance Forum. And then the UN took responsibility of doing it every year. So it started as a global event, which brought all stakeholders, 5 stakeholders are considered the government, private sector, civil society, technical community, and academia, if I'm not wrong about that. So since then, all of these stakeholders are coming together to discuss the internet governance issues. And then the regional IGF started organizing in different places. I think the first IGF, global IGF, was in Hyderabad, India. And my first IGF was in Baku, 2012.
Okay.
So since then, I served as a MAG member as well for a few years. And I'm here again after 2018. That was my last time.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
Okay, so we go to the slide. So as Omar says, the IGF is one of the major outcomes of the World Summit of the Information Society. So the idea of the World Summit of the Information Society came out of the ITU plenipotentiary in, I think it was 2000, around 2000, the one that was in Toronto. And governments and participants of the ITU were seeing that there was this thing called the internet, and there was also a growing divide among those people who have the internet and those people who don't. So, and the internet at that time, around the turn of the century, 2000, was increasing in relevance, economically, socially. It was no longer just an academic network. And we had our first, MySpaces and etc. I don't know if those who are old enough to remember those kind of things. And this was when Kofi Annan was Secretary General. And so the Secretary General decided that, yes, they will form a World Summit on the Information Society. And ITU was one of the lead organizations with UNDP, UNESCO, DESA, etc. And as Omar said, there were 2 phases. Phase one was in Geneva, and when they were discussing, they found out that, okay, we're discussing something called internet governance, but what exactly is internet governance? Nobody really knew what internet governance was. So what they did, as in all good UN processes, they formed a working group on internet governance. And this working group was actually made up of multi-stakeholders. So governments, civil society, the, um, uh, the private sector, as well as IGOs. And they came up with a report, which was presented in the second phase in Tunis, which also formed part of the Tunis agenda. And the mandate of the IGF is written in paragraph 72 of the Tunis agenda, which called upon the United Nations Secretary General to convene a meeting by the end of 2006, which would discuss, oh yes, we asked the United Nations Secretary General in an open and inclusive process to convene by the second quarter of 2006 a meeting of a new forum of multi-stakeholder policy dialogue. So this was the most important thing, multi-stakeholder policy dialogue. And at that time, this concept of multi-stakeholder policy dialogue, which was envisioned here, was new, especially to the UN system. And at that time, multilateral meant just governments speaking together, and civil society and the companies, etc., would be observers, if that. But now we realize that for the internet, most of the knowledge, of course, was in the technical community, and also civil society had to have a say. So the main thing about the IGF is that everybody has a say, everybody participates on an equal footing at the IGF. And part of it was to, of course, engage stakeholders, identify emerging issues, build capacity as well, which was also very important, especially for the global south, especially for the youth, elderly as well, people with disabilities. We had to make sure that all these people were involved and nobody was left behind. So the first meeting of the IGF, and Omar, slight correction, was in Athens. And and there in Athens, I think we had over, I don't know, about 800 people coming together. Today, we have a registration of over 8,800 people. So we've grown over the years, which is very good. So the key points of the IGF, it's bottom-up agenda setting. When we set our agenda, we do send out a call for themes, and anybody can participate and say what is the theme of the year. Last year, it was most definitely AI. The year before that, it was internet fragmentation, etc. So each year, there's a new hot topic there's. And we also do emerging issues, which is also very important. And we have capacity building. I don't know, I've been talking a lot. Would you want to say a little bit of what we do with?
Yes. This is actually the most exciting part about the IGF, I think, the intersessional work that we do during the year. So it's just not planning the global forum at the which you're here now. We have the best practice forums and the policy networks. And what we do is we look at hot topics, things that we think that you and the stakeholders, our community would be interested in. And the MAG decides on which types of best practice forums and policies. So what we do is we get together, we talk, and we come up with what's the best practice, what we look at standards, do comparisons of them, and then we produce a report. So I encourage you to go to the IGF's website, and you'll see the different work that we do over the past few years. They change after a while, but the best practice forum that we have today is cybersecurity. For policy networks, we have three. It's AI, internet fragmentation, and meaningful access. So then we have the cooperation of the NRIs and dynamic coalitions. I encourage everybody to also, again, go to the internet, to the website, and to see if your country has or your region has a national or regional IGF, and participate. So you just don't have to participate at the end of a year. You can try to be active during the entire year. We've moved on. Okay. So then we have there are two major groups. We have the IGF Leadership Panel and the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group. So the MAG, which we call, is I'm the current chair, and the chairs selected based on the cycle we are for each stakeholder group that we have. So currently, I'm actually government stakeholder, and that was for this year. And then we have the leadership panel, which we collaborate together in order to come up with the great stuff that we have today and that you see here today.
And as you can see, the chair for the leadership panel is Vince Cerf, one of the founders of the Internet Underlying Architecture. And the vice chair is Maria Ressa. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And of course, we also have a selection of people who represent each stakeholder group. For Africa, we've got Gabenga Sesan. And for the business community, we've got Maria Fernanda Gaza from the ICC basis, and she's also based in Mexico. She's a small business owner in Mexico. We also do have the Secretary General's Envoy on Technology as a ex officio member, and the three, the past host, so for Japan, has currently changed a bit, the present host, and today we will also have the next host, which is Norway, joining the leadership panel. And as it says there, the IGF Secretariat is based in Geneva. We're a very small secretariat. We're only 7 people full-time, and then we do have consultants, but we do depend on community support. That's one of the things that we are like the internet, open sourced. There are, of course, some people who are full-time, but most of the people are volunteers, like Oma was, and that also has helped. And again, key principles: open, multi-stakeholder, bottom-up, inclusive, transparent, non-commercial, and community-centered process. We do not charge anything for the IGF, and also the national and regionals don't charge anything for the IGF as well. These are where we started. We started off in Athens, and then we went to Brazil. And last year we were in Kyoto, and the year before that we were in Addis Ababa. We do try and move the IGF meeting from region to region, just to make sure that people do have access, because if we have it, okay, we have it here, for instance, people from South America, it's very difficult for them to come. So, but when we have it in Brazil, it's the other way around. But we do ensure that people can come and participate physically if they want to more easily. And over the past years, and this is when we had COVID, so we had an online meeting. And from then, we have actually increased our online and remote participation so that it's seamless between the two. Next. Yes, so over the years, Secretary General has attended. This was in Paris, where we had the President of France there, and of course, Angela Merkel of Germany as well. And as I noted, remote participation is also very important. We'll go to the next.
Right, so that brings us to where we are today. The MAG looked at the topics from that the community sent in. And what we thought this year was that since there's so many cross-cutting topics, that we would look at it as a holistic view. So we ended up with building a multi-stakeholder digital future. And as Shangatai was saying, that the multi-stakeholder part, that's you, me, everybody, is extremely important to the entire process and moving forward. So we have enhancing the digital contribution to peace, development, and sustainability, advancing human rights and inclusion in the digital age, harnessing innovation and balancing risks and the digital space, improving digital governance for the internet we want. And we thought that these four will help us to build our multi-stakeholder digital future.
One of the, so we discuss, and there has been at the beginning, at least, oh, we're just a talk shop, etc. Well, we're not just a talk shop, but also there's nothing wrong with being a talk shop. It is very important to have stakeholders who normally don't meet to discuss issues and learn from each other, and then go home and discuss what they have learned here and implement it at their home station. And this is the third mandate of the IGF, and we're due for renewal next year. And we have had studies to see what is the actual impact of the IGF. And one famous example, which I always quote, is that, for instance, the establishment of the Internet Exchange Point in East Africa was because they came, the regulatory authority came to the IGF, met people from Packet Clearinghouse, etc., had a discussion, went home, continued that contact. And a IXP was established. And the effect of that ISP was that usually internet traffic would come directly from England, etc. Now that, and even if it's local, if I wanted to send an email and I was in East Africa next door, it would first go to England and then come back. So with the establishment of the IXP, all the traffic was local, which of course brought down the cost of the internet because there's no intercontinental traffic, etc. And that's also something that we are proud of, or I would say I'm proud that the IGF has managed. Can we just go back? Sorry. And yes, I'm taking too long. No, okay. And also, we do have outputs, as Carol just said. We have best practice forums where we discuss what are best practices or actually good practices, and also highlight bad practices as well, because it's very important to see. And the world is not a uniform world. There's some where economies of scale can happen, but then we also have small island developing states where it's very difficult to have that connection. But it's people have faced those problems or faced those challenges, and it's very good to have that knowledge exchange on how they have solved that problem, and so people don't have to reinvent the wheel. And as part of our outputs, we do have the IGF messages, and we try and couture our outputs so that they can be inputs into other processes. And we've also seen that the IGF has been mentioned in, G7 processes, in African Union processes as well. So we do see the effects, and that's why I say the biggest effect of the IGF is these second-order effects that we have. Next slide. Mm-hmm. And you want to take this one? Nope.
Next slide.
Oh, okay. Yes, as we said, these are the different parts of the IGF, and it has grown over the years. As I said, in Athens, we had about 800. Now we have a factor of 8,000. So we've grown by a factor of 10. In Japan, we had over 10,000 people. So yes, so we have business engagement. We have sessions for business, because it is very important. We have a parliamentary and judiciary track. Parliamentarians are the ones who set those public policy instruments, and it's very important that they have an understanding of how their laws can affect normal internet. Like, for instance, how do you set laws to combat counterfeiting, etc.? If you just block IP addresses from a server, you might block not just that server that's selling fake Gucci handbags, but a whole lot. The same server may be having a hotline that helps people with disabilities, etc. So how to combat those, and also how knowledge sharing amongst parliamentarians. There's some parliamentarians who are more advanced. The European Parliament is quite well known for having good policy instruments, the GDPR, etc. And they can share how they did things. Of course, newcomers, that we're here. And we also try and encourage newcomers to go around. Remote hubs for people who cannot make it. Instead of watching the IGF by themselves, they can gather, universities or some businesses, and actually participate as a group, which we find that it actually encourages more debate and more interaction. We do have travel support. I know some of you are here by the travel support. It's not as much as we would like, but at least it's something to bring people in. Youth engagement, youth are our future, of course, and we really do want them to engage. And summer school, there's a South School, which is South American, there's Asia Pacific, and also there's Eurodig as well for Europe. And inclusion is, of course, something that we actually do look at. After every single IGF, we look at the statistics. We see who has participated. We see who we are missing. And then we look and see how can we include them for the next IGF. It's very important for us.
So if you're wondering how you could continue your experience from today, you can join any one of these groupings that you see here. And we look forward to persons giving their input because, again, it's multi-stakeholder, and that means you. So you could join a best practice forum. There are mailing lists, and you can help to formulate the outcomes. There's also the policy networks, as we said, on internet fragmentation, meaningful access, artificial intelligence. So if you want to be a part, if you have something to offer, if you want to learn something, then one of these groups you should join and participate. And then we have the dynamic coalitions. There are 32 of those, and they cover a range of topics: blockchain, child rights online, connectivity, internet values, data, health, DNS, gender. So there's something here for everyone. So we really encourage you to please join the mailing list and let your voices be heard. So here we have the multi-stakeholder groups: civil society, academia and research organizations, tech companies, intergovernmental and international organizations, governments, industries, and technical communities. So we're all part of the IGF. So what we try to do as well when we form the program is to also look at the SDGs in order to help facilitate meeting the goals for 2030. So we discussed your issues that shape the digital future, accountability, accountability and trust. Trust is very important these days. Innovation. Even though we talk about issues, we can't let the issues downplay the innovation that technology will allow you. So we try to do a balance between that and find out how we can balance. We look at standards and values, which is very important. What's the norm of a country, of a member state? What's the culture? We can't leave those things out. Then we brainstorm with decision makers and users uh, so that we can form a digital future today that the future could enjoy. So we have partners and corporations that help us in this endeavor.
Right. We have over 174 national and regional IGFs, as you can see, from all over the world. And I think one of the Saudi Arabia did join a couple of weeks ago, so there is an IGF there. And the other one that the one of the later one is Ireland, the Irish IGF was also formed. Is there a Norwegian IGF? Okay. No, back, please. So please, when you go back to your countries, see where the national IGF is. If there's no national IGF, you've got two choices. Join the regional or sub-regional IGF. For instance, in Africa, there's also a Southern African IGF, there's a North African IGF, etc. Please do join and participate, or just come to our website and see where you can join. And if there isn't, make one, because the internet is for everybody, and we will help you form that IGF.
Youth.
Yes, and we also have youth IGF, so national, sub-regional, and youth IGFs as well. Back. So yes, please join us. I know it may be a little bit intimidating. We have over 300 sessions. Just go, take it bit by bit, and in maybe not this year, but in a year or two, you'll be able to navigate seamlessly throughout. And talk to people. I mean, like Omar here or anybody else, we are very approachable. Myself, even Carol, the chair, we're very approachable, and we will talk to you about things, yes. IGF and other processes, okay, as Carol has said, we try and join with the UN 2030 agenda and the SDGs. Each of our sessions are aligned with one or more of the SDGs. We're currently behind. COVID did give us, make us be a little bit behind, and there is a question whether or not we will make those goals. But as you know, ICTs are seen as an accelerator. So we'll see how. And as far as our partners are concerned, we have internal, basically the whole of the UN is our internal partners. We work very well with the ITU, UNESCO, UNDP, UN Habitat, UN Environment as well. So we do work, and also outside, we work with the African Union, as I said, EU. We work with the regional, like Economic Commission for Africa, Economic Commission for Asia, ECE, Economic Commission for Europe, etc. And companies, we do work with Google, Meta, Disney, and even the small companies as well. As I said, the person who's on our leadership panel is actually of an SME in Mexico, and also ICC bases, civil society organizations. We work, we work with see. some institutions. So this is the GDC that has been passed, and the Global Digital Compact. And the GDC did mention the IGF as one of the methods that can help with the implementation of the GDC. And due to our strong multi-stakeholder component as well, and we look forward to seeing how we can do that. And we also call upon you to help us as well with that. And next year, or starting now, actually, there is the WSIS Plus 20 review, and will be the main focus for next year. And it's also coming up to the renewal of the IGF for next year. We don't know how long it's going to be renewed for, but hopefully we will see. I would not even guess. I'll not speculate, but we do need your support for that to happen. So if you find the IGF useful, please help in supporting us for the renewal during the course of next year. Thank you. And with that, I also would we've got 13 minutes for questions. Anything you'd want to talk about, we're here.
It was very interesting. I'm a first timer at IGF. And I was looking at the SDGs and some of the values you had, for example, standards, values. I was wondering whether it's time to include ethics as part of, the overall sort of aspirations of the IGF.
Yes, ethics is very important. Our policy network for AI also is talking about, because we need an ethical internet, we need ethical AI, and we are looking at ways of how to integrate that into all our processes so that it's designed that way. So ethics, we are human rights based as well. So everything that we do, everything as the UN does, well, one of our foundational documents is, of course, the Declaration of Human Rights. And that also seeps its way into what the IGF does as well. And that should include ethics. Yeah.
If Angela, if you could go to slide 9, sorry. No, keep going. Oh, that's the one with the topics for this year. Right here. So you'll see here things like advancing human rights and inclusion in the digital age. You'll find in that part, you'll see a lot about ethics. Also in digital governance, ethics is covered there.
We do have an online, Mohibi. Can we get the question? While they're figuring that one out, yes, please.
Good morning. Appreciate your efforts. We are considered the sons of IGF. We are consultative status and we are participated in this IGF since 5 years ago. And I take this opportunity to call you to our booth because we have launched a platform for protecting intellectual property in the digital area, aligning with the IGF recommendations. And I call you to know about this platform. And it's our pleasure to be a volunteer for IGF leadership panel. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have one hand up there.
Thank you. Hi, can you hear me?
At the back. You see there? Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. Well, I'm a first-time IGF attendee, and I want to find out if you would be including distributed
everyone.
ledger
My name is
technology
Winnie
as
Kamal.
part
I
of
come
this.
from Nairobi, Kenya. And one thing I'd like to appreciate is I come from the Association of Freelance Journalists, and I want to appreciate Carol, Vint, and the team at IGF for having the media caucus come and join the IGF for the first time. Thank you for the support that you've given the journalists. We really appreciate, because I guess it's time that the IGF stories are able to be told from the inside, not from the outside, looking, from the outside and everyone is just saying things. Now the journalists will have an experience, and I hope this will be the beginning of many more, and even we'll be able to create a caucus for the media. I'd like to let you know that we currently have the African Media Caucus that we started and we've been going on. And we have several journalists in that group, and we meet on WhatsApp, and we get to share what's happening in the different IGF fraternity and in the different NRIs that are happening. So I really appreciate. One thing, I don't know if it's too early to ask, if one of I saw the caucuses that you've already mentioned, that you talked about the civil society, private sector, and all the others. Let's have the media also be part of that caucus, if it's possible. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Omar? Oh, okay. And also, is it possible to have any of the online people speak?
Hi, can you hear me?
Is it possible to have the online people speak?
Can you guys hear me?
Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, thank you for your time. My name is Ismail Si from Guinea. I would like to thank you. As a first timer in IGF, I have two questions, please. First of all, country who don't have yet in the IGF, I would like to have information how to join IGF. That is my first question. And the second one is it possible to share this brief story, like say that brief story with IGF? How can I get it? If you have like website, or if you can share as a like a PDF or something like that. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for your question. We will put it on the website, so you'll be able to find it and download it. And if you want to join a national and regional initiative, the lady sitting in front there, please just approach her, and she'll show you how. Is it possible for Nina to speak?
It is, I believe. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I can't seem to activate my video, but that's fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Nenna. I come from the internet. I had to wake up early in my current location to join you online. First, because I'm a resource person, but because I also wanted to show you that you can fully participate from anywhere in the IGF series. I wanted to share two thoughts with you, especially for those who are joining recently. I have been participating in IGF for the past 19 years. Actually, I was there before IGF started. So it is a good thing for us to listen to our incoming colleagues. I want to raise one thing. Thank you for the one who raised ethics. Over the 20 years, every improvement in IGF has been community motivated. What we have as best practice forums today was not called best practice forums earlier on. They used to call them birds of the same feather. These are people who think that an issue is important. They caucus, just like our media colleague, and they bring it up to the secretariat and we integrate it. So please, if there is a new idea, if there is a new dimension that you want to see in IGF, please do not be shy, speak up, find birds of the same feather, familiar spirits or kindred spirits, caucus together, bring it to the fore, and you will see it materialize in IGF. There is something else. On the IGF website, you have a lot of reports. One of the things you want to do is to read a lot, read up on who is doing what. Look, the ngov.ngovforum.org has a lot of resources, reports, and people. Past IGF sessions are also there. You want to find out who is doing what where and get connected to them. Most of us are online. Most of us are approachable. Most of us are resource people. Please make use of that. Finally, if you happen to be in any IGF, it is a great place to bring media, to bring attention to what you are already working on. You are meeting new people. You are meeting the people you've always wanted to meet. And if you are launching a book, if you're launching a report, that will be a good place. And there are a lot of things that do not show up on the official IGF agenda. So your organization may use this to have a partners meeting. You have one-on-ones. You have a lot of other things you can do on the margin of an IGF. And that explains why most people really use that opportunity sometimes to even have a team meeting. If your organization is working in the digital space, that would be a good time to have your partners meeting, a good time to have your board meeting, a good time to combine IGF with your team retreat because it cuts down your cost. So please, if you can't do the global one, do the regional one. If you can neither do those, do the national one, but please participate. And if you can't do it in person, you can just do it online like myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nena. And then now we have, if I can read, Mohibul. Sorry if I'm messing your name up, but you're second in line online after Nena. Please speak. If not, then we'll go to Anya Alves.
Hi, I want to find out, I'm a first-time attendee at the IGF. It's fantastic. I'm attending right now, I'm online, but I will be in Riyadh right in about few hours' time. And I want to find out if we can include distributed ledger technology as part of a forum, because that has a massive parallel revenue stream or economy that's going on, and certainly requires this kind of multi-stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Can you just repeat if we can include one?
If we could include distributed ledger technologies such as blockchain,
Yes.
as well as others into this forum as a discussion point, because we do have, I'm also a PhD researcher, so hence the interest in this area.
Yes, blockchain was a big issue at the IGF a couple of years ago, I think about 5 years ago, and we had many workshop sessions on blockchain and distributed ledgers. As we mentioned before, it is quite easy to reintroduce that. We do need to have a critical mass of people who are interested in it. So, for instance, for next year's IGF, we will be doing a call for issues. And if you input blockchain there and distributed ledgers, and other people do so, and it raises, to the top or near the top, then yes, we can introduce it as a theme. But also, you yourself can have either a workshop session on blockchain. You just have to input a proposal.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Say
Yeah,
it again. There is a disturbance, please.
I'll try again, and I think the technical people will just close off the microphones that are off. So we will have a call for sessions as well, and you in your individual capacity can apply for a session. a workshop session, you would have to bring in some other stakeholders, 2 other stakeholders with you from different stakeholder groups to apply for a workshop session and have a session for next year. And the final thing you can do is to have a day 0 session where the requirements aren't that stringent as such to discuss distributed ledgers. And from that, it can help pick up the momentum for that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Hello. Mohibul here. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have you, and then we'll have somebody from the, and then unfortunately we'll have to close. Please speak if you can.
Yeah,
That would be great.
you called me actually at the time. It was not. It was muted. So they just
That is
allow.
fine. Please state your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I'm Mohibul from Montreal, and it's almost 2 a.m. here. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So my question is, I'm from the technical community, and I would like to know, like, how can ICANN and IGF work together to make the internet's core systems like domain names like more secure and accessible for a digital public infrastructure. So
Well,
yeah,
yes.
how could IGF and ICANN yeah work on the technical issues? Yeah, that's is my question.
Thank you very much. Actually, we work very closely with ICANN. At this meeting, you'll see in the opening session just now, we will have the incoming CEO and president of ICANN making a speech. There's a large contingent of ICANN staff and also board of directors here at the meeting. And the IGF, I myself, goes to ICANN meetings as well. And we do have regular meetings online as well, not just to discuss technical issues, but since we are somewhat similar in the way we organize our conferences, we also give each other best practices and how to do things better from our both perspectives. So to answer your specific questions, we will just continue to work
Yeah,
with
so
them.
like I
And
just would like
also,
to know. Yeah, I
not
just
only in our meetings, but in the summer schools as well, in our intersessional activities. Our last question, and then we have to go, sorry.
okay. Yeah. So may I ask, or yeah, somebody else?
Everybody, my name is Peter Sanga Jackson Jr. from California. Come on. I would like to find out if there are plans IGF has to include the handicapped society, or is there a special section for the handicapped society?
Right, thank you very much. Yes, we do have actually a dynamic coalition on access and with people with disabilities as well. And we do work closely with them. They have actually given us a document which we attach to our host country agreement to make sure that all our meeting venues are accessible to people with disabilities. And you will also see in the opening ceremony and session and in the plenary hall, we do have sign language provided as well. And it's because of them. As Nena was saying, we didn't have it at the beginning, but because the community asked for it, we've had it and we'll continue to have it. And of course, if there's more to be done, please feel free to approach any of us or to send us an email with your suggestions. As we said, it's a community effort. It's a bottom-up process. And with that, I'm sorry we have to go, but every single one of us is very much approachable. We can have discussions in the corridors, etc. You come to our offices, which are at the front there, and we'll be happy to discuss anything you want. Thank you.